As you can see, the water is still lapping up into some people's yards. This is what it brought up to shore. You've got logs, other debris, and yes, there's even some dead fish. The shocker today is that he says some of his officers were out of line when they decided to ticket good supporters. The mayor was illegally renting property to college students. They say even her boyfriend tried to cover it up. Just look at this memorial for Samir. It's been growing ever since we got here. Imagine these Legos are students in the city school district. More than half of them don't graduate. Arlene says many people are deciding to suit up like a first responder or a service member, but the old traditional superhero costume is still popular. Baldelli's boyfriend, a person of interest, told authorities and her family she left Panama for Costa Rica, but when they checked, there was no passport record of her ever leaving Panama. This will be the family suite for weekend visits. It'll be equipped with its own bedroom, a lounge area, and even a separate bathroom. They have to pay surcharges to have roses like these shipped in from Canada, jet fuel to have flowers like these shipped in from Holland. The county's contribution to MCC is supposed to increase by more than $1 million, so we're looking to see if taxpayers will have to pay more towards that. We'll have more information about this in our later shows. Reporting live in Rochester, Sierra Putman, News 8. The neighborhood Melissa Jones lives in is close-knit. Neighbors and community members say they're stunned. Detectives believe Jones went as far as shaving her head to trick people. This YouTube video is just one of the gestures friends and supporters of Melissa Jones put together to help her fight a rare form of breast cancer, or so they thought. Pictures of Jones wearing a scarf over a bald head and her hair finally growing out. Investigators say her hair didn't fall out, she cut it. Part of a well-planned scam.
We can at this point say that there's no evidence that she has cancer. And in fact, we can say that some of the documents that Ms. Jones provided alleging she had cancer have been confirmed to be forgeries.
They also say Jones forged medical records from Elizabeth Wendy Breast Care in Rochester and a hospital in Boston. Supporters who donated their time and money, like Dennis Bear at Steamboat Landing, are angry and disappointed.
Everyone knows somebody with cancer. Breast cancer is so prevalent, and to think that somebody would fake it to make a few dollars just really hurts.
The restaurant donated its ballroom and asked employees and other companies to help Jones. They raised more than $20,000.
It's just sad when it doesn't go towards what you thought it was going towards.
Police say Jones used fundraisers and websites to trick people as far away as Boston and New Hampshire.
Your average person who's raising a family that claims they have cancer, why wouldn't you believe it? And that's the travesty of it.
And that's what probably is most disturbing about this, is that unfortunately the ripple effect maybe people will be reluctant to donate in the future.
Police recovered some money, but say they won't know how much was stolen until they add it all up. Now, Canandaigua police want anyone who donated to Melissa Jones to give them a call at 585-394-3311. That number is on your screen. Many other agencies are involved because this case crosses state lines. Sierra Putman. This charred home behind me, it's a constant reminder to this neighborhood of the tragedy that happened earlier today. It's bad enough to find out 4 children are dead, but neighbors also tell me they were all siblings. A blackened home and debris are stark reminders 4 young lives were lost at this Grape Street home Saturday. From the haunting sound of the nail gun to the heart-wrenching question of a grandmother whose grandson barely survived.
I don't know, but I really want to find out because his friend and him are in really bad shape over there at the hospital.
Juana Caraballo's 13-year-old grandson, Giovanni Delarme, was at a sleepover when the fire erupted.
He's burnt, he's got a broken arm, and he's in PICU. He's not awake yet. My heart is broken. I can't see him like that, and I can't see the house being so burnt.
Rochester firefighters noticed the fire on the main floor of this home after responding to a rubbish fire at about 1 in the morning.
It was visible from outside by our window. The engine company officer immediately forced entry into the apartment.
Firefighters found clothes were lit. They were able to save a woman and a 2-year-old on the first floor, but they couldn't get to Giovanni and his friends upstairs.
That fire exponentially increased in magnitude.
Giovanni and 2 others jumped to safety, but 4 children died. 3 in their mid-teens, 1 child was under 10. Chief Caulfield can't say yet what sparked the fire.
It's just too early to tell, and I need to stress, we've got to interview the witnesses and really find out what their story tells us.
Now, Chief Caulfield says they have to wait until the survivors of this fire are medically cleared to talk. He says once that happens, then his team will conduct those interviews. Reporting live in Rochester, Sierra Putman, News 8. Driving by, you may not notice this sugar bush, but Chris Goff and Greg Keys are preparing to get the sweet sap out of these maple trees.
I think we're ready to rock and roll.
Putting in taps in early February isn't the norm.
Without question, this is the earliest I've ever tapped. Usually, I tap President's Week because I got that week off of school. Yeah, and then you just kind of seed it in with your hand, and then I give it a little love tap.
They drill, insert a spiel, and connect the tube that will carry the sap away.
And you do that about 1,000 times.
New York was the 2nd largest maple syrup producing state in 2011, making more than 560,000 gallons. Scott's Sugar Shack made 300 gallons of maple syrup last year. It's not the pair's main source of income, but the weather still concerns them.
Sugar maple trees thrive when you have cold weather. I hope to see sugar around too when it gets down to 1.8 or 1.5%. That concerns me.
And a lot of the old timers that have been doing this for 50 years say the only weather that matters is the weather during the season.
If it stays too warm outside, the problem is the sap coming out of these trees won't be clear. Instead, it will be yellowish, which means it's collected bacteria and won't make high-quality maple syrup.
Well, the quality will be down, that's when you start making commercial grade, which is not the stuff that you sell retail.
But they're hoping for the best.
And believe me, I'm watching your weather updates about every hour. My family thinks I'm nuts.
Because for sugar makers,
Weather is everything.
And I will announce you to be the McNair family, okay?
it's not always a happy day in Ontario County Family Court, but today was filled with smiles and hugs as this young man joined his new family.
Sean Ryan, Morris McNair.
It means like Scottish and Irish name because I'm Irish, and it's a mixture.
The 15-year-old's new name reflects both his biological and adoptive family.
And to treat said child in all respects as their own lawful child. You're the said child.
Diana and Dan McNair say they knew right away Sean was their son.
We saw a picture of him, and he was on a John Deere, and he just had this sparkle in his eye. She says, well, what do you think about this boy? I said, I think he's a McNair.
The Ontario County Department of Social Services has found adoptive families for 95 children in the past 21 years. But they say Sean's story is special because it's more difficult to find homes for children with special needs and teenagers. The county says it takes about 2 years to find a permanent home for a child in the foster care system. It's easier for younger kids. 37% of those adopted are between the ages of 1 and 3. Only 10% of teens find a forever home.
Those are the kids who then go on to that high risk of unemployment and welfare dependency when they aren't attached to a family.
Many of these children, including Sean, come with a past. He went to his first foster home at the age of 4 and many more afterwards.
Like maybe between 5 and 10.
5 and 10. What was that like as a kid, going to different homes?
Very sad.
Sean's biological father abused him.
He was drunk and I was upstairs laying down on my bed trying to fall asleep, and then he flipped me over onto my stomach and then he just started hitting me.
It left him with many scars, including PTSD and other special needs. That didn't scare off the McNairs.
I think we took that leap of faith because we saw in Sean's eyes, you know, the great sadness and the great trauma that he had endured. And we knew that we could make it better.
It's just appalling. And, you know, I'm not going to make the world change all of that, but I'm going to do my part to help the kids that I am in contact with overcome that.
In fact, 4 out of 5 of Diana and Dan's children are adopted. It's not easy, but it's what they were called to do.
You see the struggle with them, and my heart just opened for them, and I'm like, this is what God had us wait for.
So in a courtroom in front of all, they signed the adoption papers.
I'm not going anywhere, and I'm not going to let him go anywhere, so, you know, we'll always be there for him.
I'm proud of myself for doing that, getting this family. I think it was the right one.
A family welcoming a son they will love forever. Sierra Putman, News 8.